We have a beautiful gospel with us tonight. And right away, Mark is saying something important to us. Pay attention, because Mark gives us not just a first name, but he also gives us a last name. We encounter Bartimaeus, the son of Timaeus. So we're getting his full name. So right away, the gospel writer is telling us, pay attention, because something important is about to happen in this gospel. And so we encounter Bartimaeus, and we realize that Bartimaeus has two strikes against him. He's blind. He can't see. Just imagine that for a second. Just imagine not being able to see how beautiful the icon of Our Lady of Perpetual Help is. And we're here to honor Our Lady of Perpetual Help tonight, right? That's why we're here, right? Just imagine if you can't see how beautiful your son, your daughter, your wife, your husband. Just imagine not being able to see the beauty of creation. But not only is he blind, he's a beggar. He doesn't have much. In fact, he has almost nothing. You walk the streets of Toronto and you see a lot of beggars sleeping on the side of the road. Just imagine being homeless, not having a place to stay. So he's blind and he's a beggar. It pretty much doesn't get worse than that. And so imagine for a situation that you're down on your luck. There's not much happening. There's not much going on for you. That's the situation we encounter Bartimaeus. So then he hears Jesus is coming. Now imagine you would have heard of Jesus. The man is raising people from the dead. The man is healing all kinds of sick people. He's casting out demons. And so remember, you've tried everything. And there is this man, Jesus, who's been working miracles. You've been hearing about him. So imagine the excitement of Bartimaeus. And what does he do? He shouts, Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me. Imagine that. He's thinking, this is the only man that can save him. He doesn't care about how embarrassing it looks. He shouts out, Son of David, have mercy on me. And guess what happened? The crowd say, be quiet. Have you ever felt that way where you just want the best? You want what other people have. And voices just quiet you. Who do you think you are? Where do you think you're from? You think you can be anyone? Don't you know who your parents are? Don't you know where you're from? How many times we say to children, children are meant to be seen and not heard, and we quiet them. How many times the voices of minorities, we shut them down so we don't have to hear them. How many times in our own families, husbands and wives, that we shut down each other because we don't want to hear what they have to say. How many times in words and actions and lack thereof, we tell people to be quiet when they're only searching and striving for something good. And so there's Bartimaeus, hearing that Jesus can save him. He shouts out to Jesus, but he's told, be quiet. So what does Bartimaeus do? He shouts even louder. You think you can silence me? He shouts even louder. He's saying to them, I'm blind, I'm a beggar. If this man can help me, you're not going to stop this. And then something interesting happens. Jesus sees him, he hears him, and says, come. And did you notice what happened with the crowd? They say, he's calling you. Come. Isn't that fascinating? I have a confession. I don't look at basketball. I don't care about basketball. I don't understand basketball. But last week, I was a Raptors fan. And I suspect many people in Toronto were Raptors fans last week and probably don't even know who's on the Raptors team. Why? Because there's this excitement, because everyone else, there's a recognition, everyone else is part of it. And so there is this blind man, this beggar, that everyone could care less about. But suddenly he's recognized by Jesus. And see what happens. They all turn. Come, he's calling you. And suddenly everyone wants to be Bartimaeus' friend. Everyone wants to be in that circle too, because that great Jesus has recognized him. And Bartimaeus does something very symbolic. He takes off his cloak. He takes off that identity. Because when you encounter Jesus, you become a new creation. And he throws off that cloak and he runs. And he runs to Jesus. And here's the question for us tonight. What do you want me to do for you? That's what Jesus asked Bartimaeus. Of course, Jesus knows the answer. And Bartimaeus says, I want to see. And now Bartimaeus can see, his eyes are open, and he follows Jesus on the way. What are we doing, church, with our gift of faith that we freely received from God? How are we stripping off that outer cloak, whatever that may be, our selfishness, our pride, our ego? How are we becoming that new creation in Christ so that we can follow Jesus on the way to continue to spread that free gift of faith to those whom we meet? Bartimaeus received the gift, a gift of faith. His eyes were open, and he went to serve Jesus. We've been blessed, church, with many gifts from God. Most of all, the gift of life that has us here tonight, freely given by God. It may not be the best life, it may not be a perfect life, but we're not dead, and that's cause to celebrate. If it's not for the mercies of God, the graces of God, there we go. So how are we using that free gift to serve God by serving others? And so with the eyes of faith, we come to this table where ordinary bread and wine are transformed into the body and blood of Christ. As we partake of this communion, may our eyes of faith be open so that we may continue to be strengthened and nourished to follow Jesus on the way.